My text is taken from Mark chapter 16, verses 6 to 7. It's translated by the Living Bible. Don't be so surprised. He isn't here. He has come back to life. He's going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. Easter is awesome. Easter is utterly awesome. It is a cosmic event in the midst of our history, every bit as profound as the creation itself. John had it right in his prologue to the fourth gospel. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we beheld his glory. It was John's way of saying, just as God said in the beginning, let there be light, and light appeared. Let there be a firmament, and the firmament appeared. So also in the fullness of time, God said, let there be an incarnate Son. And a child's morning cry could be heard in a manger. That's John's way of holding up the Christ event as an extraordinary moment when God was doing recreation in the midst of our history. And the reason was profound. We have free will to choose between depravity and nobility. And depravity was winning. It was far more popular and convenient than choosing nobility in life. And so God on Easter morning infused the evolution of humanity with the very Spirit of Christ to give us an edge, to give us help in choosing to develop ourselves the way God imagined us to be. Easter was God's way of shocking the world into wakefulness. God's way of doing a miracle so great that the mind could never explain it, so great that the heart could never contain it, so great that the spirit could never ignore it. This was God saying, I am here with you, I'm going to help you find your way back home. Just believe that I'm here and believe in me. That's Easter morning. And so at the center of that Easter event, in the midst of an empty tomb, an angel announced that miracle to the women who came. Don't be so surprised, he said. Don't be so surprised. The whole point of Easter was to surprise the human race. You're going to discover, if you haven't already, that when it comes to Bible reading, I wonder about the strangest things. And this morning, I want to wonder how that guy was chosen for empty tomb duty on Easter morning. By the way, that technique in Bible study is profound. Approach the Bible with a sense of wonder, and it's amazing what happens. On the contrary, if you think the Bible is just an old book, at least 2,000 years old, filled with ancient rituals and laws that are no longer relevant and values and virtues that are no longer in vogue, the Bible will never, ever be anything more than that to you. But approach the Bible with a sense of wonder, believing that the same God who inspired these 48 different writers, authors, over a period of 1,500 years with consistent themes of revelation, is also there ready to inspire the one who reads it in faith, the one who comes to the Bible with a sense of wonder. Approach the Bible with that kind of wonder, and you will never be disappointed. So I wonder how this guy was chosen for empty tomb duty. Surely it was not because he was tops in his class in angel sensitivity in dealing with earthlings. Nor was he chosen because he had a great vocabulary for earth people. Why he was chosen, I do not know. I do know that his opening words were a contradiction of the miracle itself. Don't be so surprised. I like the Living Bible translation of that. Other translations say, don't be so amazed. The traditional translation is, don't be afraid. But it wasn't fear that crippled them. It was hope, tottering on the edge of conviction and excitement. It was faith, thinking it might be undermined by doubt. It was love, concerned that it may not be reciprocal. It was people living into the promise of the Lord, hoping and hoping that it would be true, and discovered that it was. They went away trembling with excitement, but I maintain it was not fear that overcame them. It was excitement almost too good to believe. Don't be so surprised. And then the angel listed 4 instructions for the women to carry out, almost as though he were reading a teleprompter. He is not here. He has come back to life. He is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there. Oh, and by the way, don't be so surprised. I can see God scratching God's head and saying, where did we find this guy? Approaching the Bible with a sense of wonder. It's amazing. Easter is all about being surprised by a miracle that the mind can never explain, that the heart can never contain, and the spirit can never deny. It is being surprised by the miracle of goodness from God to all of us, emerging from the darkest hour of human history. It's all about being surprised by a love that still loves us after humanity unleashed upon divinity, man's inhumanity to man. Easter is all about being surprised by a forgiveness we do not deserve, by a love that is unconditional, by a promise of companionship that abides forever. Easter is all about being surprised by life after death and the promise of our kinship with him that will survive our own death. Easter was meant to surprise us. And the best he could do to announce that event to history was, don't be so surprised. But let's look at the 4 bits of advice that he offered from his teleprompter. He is not here. An obvious statement for those who had come. The body was gone. But it's an important thing, because there are many today who will say, well, he didn't have a physical resurrection. He had a spiritual one, and we all have spiritual resurrections, life after death. That's to minimize the miracle. The tomb was empty. He was not there. And they needed to know that, and they bore witness to it. Where that's relevant today is that there are times where that message still rings true. Perhaps you saw this week the statistic that for the first time in the history of our country, those belonging to temples or churches or mosques in our country fell below 50%. For all of our history, the faith communities of this nation infused their God orientation into the fabric of society. Our laws were based on the fact that we were accountable to God. The oath of public office was all held accountable to God for our leadership and our service. God's place in the common life of all was paramount and essential to our success. And now, for the first time, the number of Americans who are affiliated with temples or churches or mosques has fallen below 50%. I think they said 47%. That means that people looking for a community, a secular community that was being influenced by the faith values of people, are finding in those secular communities that he is not there. As though somehow the angel were standing at the gate of the city saying, I know you seek the living among the dead, but he is not here. That event is a tragedy of epic proportions in our country. He has come back to life. We have found it so. How often in life have we grown up with Sunday school and church, but then in ages of maturity, we drifted away and decided God was really optional. We didn't need to keep affiliating and nurturing our faith and allowing it to grow until life falls apart and we realize it's not working out the way we wanted it to. In those moments, we discover that even though we lost faith in God, God has not lost faith with us. And the Lord is there to pick us up and dust us off and put our feet back on the path and encourage us on. He has come back to life. And those of us who have found him in the experiences of life are able to say what that angel once said. He has come back to life for me, for you, for all of us. He's going ahead of you to Galilee. I wondered about that one too. Of all the places he could go on Easter morning, why would he head back to Galilee? And here's my take on it. He had asked his disciples to live in remembrance of him, to remember everything he had taught them. Most of what he had taught them and showed them was in Galilee. He was taking them back to a place where their faith formation was made, where the stories he told, the parables were created, where the miracles happened, where he challenged the restrictions of society and ministered to the poor and the sick and the lame and the lost. He took them back there, I think, to help them remember where he had been with them throughout their training, so that now they were able to follow a risen and living Lord with those same instructions in mind. And I have found it so. I have found the Lord taking me back to memories that I cherished but didn't quite know why. But later in life, I've come to realize it was the influence of the Lord upon those moments in time that shaped my life and helped me to be the person I am, as though the Lord was going before me in my reflection to show me. I was there. Did you not see me? I helped you over here. Do you not remember? God going before me in my reflection. And so I resonate with Galilee. He was taking them back and preparing them to follow a risen and living Lord to the ends of the earth. You will see him there. I like that one most of all, because unless we live with a clear vision of the Lord in the present moment, everything we know and believe about the Lord is irrelevant. Perhaps you've heard the pious phrase, my Lord goes ahead of me to lead me, behind me to encourage me, beside me to befriend me, above me to protect me, below me to sustain me. That's just poetry. Unless you live with a vision of the Lord in the present moment, all of the theology doesn't matter. The Lord is with us in each and every experience of life. Come to each moment saying, Lord, I know you're here. Help me to see what you want me to see, to understand what you're trying to teach me, because I want to see you clearly in the present moment. It is in the present moment that we see the Lord of life. Sometimes in the face of a child, sometimes in the innocent question of a youth, sometime in the midst of a strange coincidences of life where goodness seems to emerge undeserved. Whatever it is, if we live with a vision of the Lord in the present moment, we never go away disappointed. The loss of wonder in our age is tragic. Without wonder, there can be no sense of reverence. And the scientific age has all but eliminated, at least in common practice, the sense of wonder. And where there is no wonder, there is no reverence, and there is no room for God. Living with a sense of wonder is essential to experiencing the resurrection in everyday life. It is God coming to us with the gift and resource for living. And so I wish you a happy Easter, a joyful Easter, because Easter is awesome. Easter is utterly awesome. It boggles the mind, it excites the heart, it thrills the soul. And oh, by the way, it's okay to be surprised if you like.